Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Today is a special day. With us, we have the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Wireless Life, Anthony Bartolo. How you doing, Anthony?
How's it going, everybody? How's it going, Pierre?
Did you like that entrance?
No, I'm not that important.
It's nice to have
Thank you.
back. It's nice to have you back. Where have you been?
Oh, wow. Big adventure underway. So I'm now focused on students in terms of their enablement and their, trying to help them achieve their dreams and their ideas. And it's been so awesome just having that opportunity to talk to, students in universities and even high school students in some cases in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. I participated in Magic Cup, the one that just passed, and just sitting down with the students and seeing where their ideas are and how they want to accomplish it. It's been a great learning experience just because the perception that these students have in terms of how they're adopting technology greatly differs, what's currently in private sector, public sector. And so it's the the coming of age when they have this ideology of what they're trying to accomplish and adopt, and how that translates to public and private sector and what they understand can be adopted. It's been a very, very interesting experience. I've only been at it for just over a month, but it's been something of a great learning experience. I'm bringing my infrastructure knowledge in, and the team that I'm working with specifically focuses on infrastructure and application development and creation.
I was going to say, are you like deserting the IT pro community?
No, not at all. So this is the thing that's interesting, right? In the student space, there isn't a clear defined IT pro and developer, right? It's all about enablement. It's all about what can the technology do to achieve a goal or opportunity. And so hearing, these students just talk from architectural standpoints and security implementations, and then flip over to utilization of services and incorporation of APIs so seamlessly. It's like, wow, how did that happen? This is awesome. So it's been, like I said, it's been a really great learning experience.
Yeah, they haven't had time to pick a specialization yet.
There are, on the security side, there's been a lot of, much more focused individuals in terms of the enablement. But for the most part, it's very much general.
Yep. There's another thing that's that came up this week, other than your wonderful return to AzUpdate, the show, is Ignite Reg is open.
I'm very excited. So I have not registered yet. There was a little event that happened yesterday that we're going to talk about later today, I think, right? The live stream that happened. So
actually,
I was helping on a little bit on social on that one to bring visibility, but I've not registered for Ignite yet. I'm definitely going to get that done today because I love doing the conversations inside of the chats that are made available when you once you've registered and you put your name in, available for conversations. And feel free to reach out to producer Pierre and I in regards to anything that you want to bring up in terms of what you want to see at Ignite. Always excited. It's something where you have this capability of, interacting with what's coming out that's new, what's going to come out that's fresh. What can we talk about? And yes, that definitely, I was hoping you're going to share that as well.
Yeah, we are going to still run our Ignite channel in a Discord server for side conversations this year again. So if you're not already joined, that's the address. That's the invitation. Come and join and have a conversation with your fellow IT and Ops colleagues. And we'll be talking about Ignite when the time comes.
And you know what, Pierre, thank you for the introduction of the whole Discord server and setting that up. I'm finding out very quickly in the student space, that's one of the big mechanisms that you use for communication is Discord. And the amount of Discord servers that are available out there, it's been, learning from the fire hose is what we say here in terms of how do we connect with students, and Discord's been one of those great tools to do so.
Yeah, it's a gamer tool that suddenly a lot of people have realized that it doesn't have to be just for gaming. It is really a community server. It's like the next evolution of the BBS that we used to run when we were fresh-faced IT pros.
I've not heard the term BBS in a long time. What does BBS stand for again, Pierre?
Bulletin board system.
Hey, you got it. I was hoping the chat room would jump in on that one too.
Oh, okay. Well, they may have. I haven't looked. Speaking of chat room, who's in there right now? Currently, we have Andrew McCallum, we have Paul Jensen, and we have the boss. Shh. Hi, Rick. Anyway, welcome to the show. There's more people that are watching, but they're not logged in, so I can't see their names. Anyway, shall we get to the news?
Let's get to the news. So apparently it was a big event yesterday.
It was. We had the Windows Server Summit that our illustrious boss Rick Claus was hosting. And one of the big announcements that's really resonated out there is the fact that we are now introducing Windows Server Hybrid Administrator Associate Certification. That's a mouthful. Which is basically administrating Windows Server in a hybrid configuration, meaning on-prem and using cloud services. 2 exams, AZ 800 and AZ 801. And if you go to our website, and I will put the URL right here. If you go to our website, there are 3 blogs from Oren Thomas, who was instrumental in bringing that back. He's been, for the last year, he's been fighting the good fight to bring this back to the forefront, because there are millions of IT pros out there that are certified or were certified in previous versions of Windows that have been waiting for this. So he's taken it from infancy to birth, and it's now coming up. The blog post will give you there are some study guides. There's information about that, and there are objective listings that he's covering in his blog articles. So go and check it out.
It's interesting, right? Twitter was on fire with the announcement. Mary Jo Foley actually shared out the articles as well, and she had her own article that she shared out. It's really amazing that we have this scenario where, everybody's been asking for the Windows Server certification to come back because it's still being used in day-to-day activities. A lot of IT pros still require that certification for their jobs. And so to have this now being reintroduced, and hats off to Oren Thomas in terms of the amount of work that he's put forth to get this back into play. It's something where it brings to light, the need for that hybrid implementation. Some information has to stay on premises, some has to stay in the cloud, and that enablement of Windows Server makes that, something a lot easier to manage and easier to enable.
Well, at Ignite 2019, so the last time we actually met in person, Xander, I forget his first name.
Jason
Zander. Thank you. Our illustrious corporate vice president for Azure actually said in his keynote that hybrid is our customer's end goal. So we've kind of pivoted a little bit now. That's we're not expecting everybody to go full cloud native. Hybrid is the end goal, meaning we now have to learn how to manage it as such. And this is a great step forward for that.
Shall we continue on the news?
Yes, I'm just trying to find the right page for your news item. Go ahead.
All right, so next up in the news is the general availability of Azure AD joined virtual machines in Azure Virtual Desktop. A lot of people said, well, wait, Anthony, you talked about this a while back in terms of this enablement. It's now generally available. Before it was under public preview. So thank you to all those that went forth and did testing on the functionality to make sure it made sense in terms of its implementation. What's great about this is now when you're setting up the templates for individuals to use for Azure Virtual Desktop, you can have it automatically connect to a domain, your Azure AD implementation. What does that mean? So now you have the capability of enforcing stuff like multi-factor authentication or passwordless emits these implementations, and your policies are automatically pushed down to these templates when they're spun up, as opposed to having this guesswork in terms of, is this individual going to have the right experience? And in the current times when a lot of people are working from home, making things simpler for them so that they don't have to follow a whole bunch of hops to enable security policies that are important to your organization is key. And so this is a great step forward in terms of this type of capability.
Yeah. There's one thing that I'm a little fuzzy on though, is because if you read the documentation, it says that it simplifies and facilitate joining your Azure Virtual Desktop to an AD, but you don't have to have line of sight into the DC. And there's a note in there that says that it might even be able to join without have access to a DC at all. So that's interesting, because sometimes you don't have your domain replicated in the environment or whatever.
Right.
There's some architectural gotchas there that you have to look at first. If you're using AD Connect, are you using Azure AD? Are you using a domain controller as a VM in the very specific VNet? Like, all that stuff has to be. I'm wondering whether or not that will be ported to standard VMs, which I think would be cool, but I don't know. I have not heard, and this is not a product announcement in any way, shape, or form. It's my wishful thinking, because right now we're doing it a lot with deployments, but by using custom extensions to basically join the machine to a domain on first boot. But it'd be cool to see that ported. What are your thoughts on that?
So here's what I researched when I looked at this news item. In the midst of creation of the template for people to use when they're using Azure Virtual Desktop, you have the drop down menu in terms of the selection of which Azure AD domain you're going to actually connect to, right? So there has to be a line of sight to the domain that you're going to enable these users to connect to, and this can be specified by template, right? In terms of that type of activation. So further on down the road, making it simpler for people to just gain access to the information that matters to them most is going to be key. I think this is the first step in terms of this enablement in the virtual desktop sense. What if it's going to come down the road, again, not a product announcement. We're just guessing right now. It would make sense in terms of that enablement, but I think it's going to be more than just that, because we're now seeing compute happen on other platforms, right? So it's not just about these devices, laptops and tablets. We're talking about, smartphone enablement which is again still baseline. The whole explosion of VR and the whole explosion of mixed reality. It's becoming that new instance. The Ray-Ban sunglasses that were just launched by Facebook.
I'm intrigued with that. I'd love to try it. I don't know if I want to buy one because I don't know what I would do with them. But this is kind of cool.
But this is the thing, right? So we hear launches of new smartphones that are coming out, and we hear, the new camera functionality, updated processor, but there's a lot that are talking about in the marketplace that we're nearing saturation in the capabilities of smartphones and what they can actually do. And then the next step now is the whole immersive experience with mixed reality. Now, we've dabbled in this even on the show prior to, in the utilization of HoloLens and other devices. But there's a cost barrier, right? It's a little bit more expensive, and it's a much bigger unit to wear all the time, as opposed to having your smartphone in your pocket.
Yeah, you'd look pretty stupid walking down the mall with your HoloLens helmet on.
Well, and that's part of the challenge, right? So the Ray-Ban launch with Facebook is interesting because they look like a normal pair of sunglasses. Even Bose has sunglasses with the speakers built in, which is an audio immersion as opposed to a visual immersion. You're starting to see more of that occur. And so what does that mean for interfaces and the way we experience, information at our fingertips? It's going to be something that's going to be of interest in the next 5 years, and where we're going when the devices become smaller and become more unobtrusive, as opposed to wearing this helmet walking down the mall.
I think that the hardware is cool, but I think what's even cooler or more interesting to me is the possibilities of what you can do with them by leveraging ML edge computing recognition of any kind. Not talking about facial recognition, because there's so many privacy issues that jump into that. But
Right.
like I was working on my Jeep last weekend, and I was looking for a bolt because our nice Canadian winters have basically eaten through on the suspension bolt. So I was looking for one. So grade 10, a very specific bolt, and I'm going through the store, and they've got like it's Ottawa fasteners, so that there's thousands of little cubbies with bolts in them. I would have loved to be able to say, like, okay, this is the one I want, and then look at the wall, and then all of a sudden the one I need actually lights up, or like something like that, like what you can do with the technology.
Maybe even able to distinguish between a metric bolt and an imperial bolt.
I wonder who that would help.
Somebody in the chat room, that's for sure.
Somebody in the chat room, that would, yep. Anyway, before I get in trouble, because I still report to him, let's move on to our next news item, which is Azure VM. I'll get the right screen here. Azure VMware solution has achieved FedRAMP high authorization standard. Now you would ask me, okay, well, what does it? Is that a technical thing? What does it do? It's not. It hasn't. The solution itself hasn't changed at all. But now the government, or FedRAMP, which is a arm length organization for the federal government in the U.S., but that standard is used in outside geographies. Like I know Canada, we use it as well, and other places use it as a stamp of approval in terms of how secure and how manageable the solution can be. So Azure VMware Solutions has now achieved that FedRAMP certification, which can open a lot of doors in terms of compliance, because there's some industries that, especially if you deal with government, that you must have, like in healthcare, you got to have high trust, and you got to have HIPAA. If you're dealing with the feds in terms of the DoD or DND, national defense type scenarios, you got to have FedRAMP, and you got to have SOC 1 and SOC 2. So those compliance are very, very important. But now VMware, our Azure solution, has now achieved that certification. So that's really cool in terms of how many doors it can open now for being used for working, well, not just for the government or with the government, governments, because there's multiple geographies, but the fact that it's a stamp of approval in terms of how secure our solution really is. Thoughts, Anthony?
Well, this is the thing. Anytime you're enabling something for government, it means it also helps the people at the end of the day, because now that information that's people rely on in terms of just something as simple as getting a vaccine shot, or going to the doctor, or something in terms of taxes and whatever it relates to the government in regards to everything that's going on. When they modernize, and we enable them to modernize through these tools, it makes it a lot easier for us to get access to information as well. So it doesn't just help government, it also helps the people as well. A lot of us complain in terms of a lot of the systems being archaic and trying to get information. It's multiple hops. So when stuff like this happens, and we see certifications occur on solutions that are made available, it's something where it helps not only governments, but it also helps the people gain access to that information.
Yep. No, I think it's great, and it's the first. And if you want to look at how many of our solutions have already received that certification or that standard accreditation, I don't even know what you're supposed to call it. Is it a certification? Is it an accreditation? Anyway, in any case, you can do that by looking at the article, the blog article that we put this morning, that I put on this morning, because I did list or link a page where all of our services that are FedRAMP approved are listed. So you can look at that, and hopefully that helps you if you've got any kind of compliance issues or compliance requirement in your job. All right, next one, which is I've got too many windows open here. Uh, the
That's the
next one
challenge of
first.
producing the show and being on the show at the same time, right?
Yes, and I'm starting to think that I got too many monitors. Is that a really a problem? Is that a first world problem?
No.
Six? Is that six? Is six enough?
Do you have 6 monitors now? Jeez.
I know, I do. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, the sixth one, I don't really look at it that much, but yeah, 5 that are constantly on. Anyway, that's your show, your item. I mean,
All right, so the next item up in the news is the enablement of private endpoints within the machine learning workbench. This is a great one. It's currently in preview. A lot of the challenges, just talking about government right now, there is a lot of scenarios where there's a requirement for segregation of endpoints and specific, data flows, and there's a need to capture that information for machine learning to do automation of X or decision making of Y. And it's always been a challenge because the data streams cannot intersect. You can't have access to both simultaneously. So this whole aspect of the inclusion of multiple private endpoints into machine learning workbench is a big one, because now you can actually have additional amounts of data come into your decision making process in terms of your machine learning exercise. And they can still be completely separate of each other in terms of the data flow itself. This also includes the whole aspect of utilization of Azure Kubernetes service clusters as a separate VNet as well, injecting into your machine learning exercise for your outcome of X, whatever X may be.
yeah. I look at it more on the on the security side, because if you're doing machine learning and you've got your data set, depending on what you're looking at, you may have sensitive information into that data set that you're going to be running through. By using private endpoints, you eliminate the need to have that little internet hop to go over the internet to access the storage account or the Kubernetes cluster or whatever it may be where your data is being crunched. So it makes the whole solution so much more isolated and so much more secure, which in these day and age, with the ethics of AI and machine learning, this is something that we really have to be conscious of and make an extra effort to ensure that all of that data that we're crunching is being secured.
And it's not just that, right? There's the whole aspect of ISO certification that requires these endpoints to be separated, that a lot of organizations have to adhere to. And so having this ability to keep them separated, but still utilize in decision-making processes or automation capabilities, it's important, right? The more data that we can bring into machine learning workbench for the outcome of X, the better in terms of its preciseness of its decision making. So enabling this functionality where the VNet stays separate, but the data itself still can be used and still adhere to ISO rules or certification requirements, is a huge advantage.
Yep. So we are going to go to our module of the week. And Anthony, because that was a suggestion from you, I'm going to let you take that.
So really quickly, we talk a lot about technical enablement on the show, and the certifications and the upskilling that's available within Microsoft Learn. But of late, there's been a lot of soft people skills that are being made available in regards to what you should do as a student, and if you want to, land your first job, and what you should do for your interview process, and how your resume should look, and what have you. This one was an interesting one. It was just released. It's how to build your tech resilience, and what does that mean, right? The whole aspect of an IT professional inside of an organization is the how are we supporting this organization? And part of the challenge is the communication aspect of that. It's the whole thing where if you don't have a seat at the table with the business decision makers, you're being told, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, and you're not providing any of your input. This is a great tool, a great learning module that provides some insights in terms of what are the best practices to have that conversation with leadership, in terms of why things should happen the way they should happen. Security protocols, multi-factor authentication, private endpoints. There's a lot of aspects of the technology that even leadership doesn't understand, but they have an opportunity or a problem that they need to address. And this provides a way to change a lot of the culture that occurs in terms of the IT professional's role within an organization and what they mean to the business decision maker and even the developers. We talk about DevOps as that intersection between the communication between IT pros and developers, but now having this type of tech resilience and having this, communications capability and having this open mindset in terms of the possibilities and opportunities that are there, something covered in this module, can be leveraged to have that communication and to establish those relationships with other parts of the company to make sure that everybody's on the same page when adopting technology.
Yep. I completely agree with you. We spend years, and when I say we, I mean not Microsoft, but like the industry to teach those hard skills of like how to do this. But then we take somebody in IT and operation and we ask them to go and talk to the business dealers or the business stakeholders and say, go and present what you're doing to support their environment. And we haven't taught those skills. Soft skills have been kind of like an afterthought for many years. And yes, I understand that in the past, let's say 5 years, we've started kind of like bringing that back up to the forefront. But it is extremely important to know how to communicate, to know how to embrace your what they call it, emotional intelligence, which I am very short on. And know how to give and receive feedback, and that learning path actually has some really good stuff on that. And I laughed a little bit as to while you were talking because I noticed that Paul Jensen said that he must have some really good soft skills because he's much softer than he was 5 years ago. So Paul, I don't know if that translates really well, but
I think a lot of us have been made a lot softer over the last 18 months.
Oh yeah. Actually, no, I lost 12 pounds.
Yes, it's noticeable. Awesome. Congratulations. It's cool.
It's the byproduct of not eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the hotel or on a plane or at an airport. All right. So I think you have an event coming up that you want to tell us about.
So really quickly, this weekend is Hack the North, and this is something that's Canada-wide, but it's based in Waterloo, Ontario, and it's the enablement of students for their projects and what they're bringing to the table for new innovations. So this is one of the great things I now get to participate in, and so I'm going to be available all weekend long. If you go to hackthenorth.com, you can see all the new projects that are going to come to life. I believe it starts at 8 p.m. tonight in regards to, and it goes for 36 hours. In terms of the hack itself.
It's a virtual event, right?
Sorry, it is a virtual event unless you are at the University of Waterloo. There is a staging area for you there, but I will be online. The staging area inside of Waterloo is only for students. So if you're a student of Waterloo, you can participate. And that's the thing. It being a virtual event means there are people from around the world that are participating in this event, even though it's Hack the North and it's Canadian based, which is awesome. And I hope that's one of the things that doesn't change when we go back to a hybrid model of in-person events.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to all of the in-person events returning, but for all of them to have a virtual component because it removes a participation barrier that's always been there, where if you have somebody that works for a small company and that small company may not have the $5,000-$6,000 to send you to Ignite, to send you to VMworld, to send you to whatever conference you're looking at going to, but at least you can participate now and get most of that information. I know with Ignite you can still get it, but you don't get it that day of. You get it like 48 hours later or a week later when all of the sessions get published. But no, I'm really hoping that this becomes a thing. And also this week we are returning to, or the boys are returning to Patch and Switch. So Mr. Claus, who's currently in the chat room, and Joey Snow. So which one is Patch? Which one is Switch? We don't know. We'll be entertaining you at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know what UK time is.
Don't forget about Sound Guy Steve.
Steve, the audio guy.
If I said it correctly, it wouldn't be an ongoing thing.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, he's like, what? There's a show today? Well, I hope there is. Yeah, Mr. Jared, or the Steve, the audio guy, is actually on his way back through the U.S. to Seattle in an RV. So hopefully he can find some place to connect the gigabits and be online to Jared the tour.
Like that.
Anyway, so if you want to participate and see the shenanigans on Twitch at Twitch/Patch and Switch. And Anthony, thank you so much for coming back. It's always so much fun to spend a half hour with you and looking at the news of the day. So thank you, and good luck in your new endeavors.
Thank you very much. And this won't be the last time you see me. I'll pop in from time to time, but keep up the excellent work on the show. It's awesome to see it continue on.
And if somebody wants to get a hold of you,
you can find me on Twitter at Wireless Life.
And I, as always, will be at Wired Canucks. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a great weekend.